Last time we took a look at Batman Gotham Knight, a movie containing 6 stories made by different artists. I couldn't believe how all of these stories aged better than ever, and so this time we'll be taking a look at the Animatrix and rank each story in that movie. After rewatching them, I'm glad to say that they all did a fantastic job, so once again, I'll be ranking them from best to greatest. But before we begin, I want to mention that when this movie first released, everyone dismissed it. They thought it was okay, but they weren't really into it just because it did not really revolve around Neo, Morpheus, or Trinity. Trinity did end up being involved in one of the stories, but briefly. And I hate to admit it, but I too wasn't interested in rewatching it for that very same reason. I used to care only for the spectacle and the action scenes more than the story, but now I appreciate the hell out of this movie for the exact reason why we felt like skipping it. For telling stories about characters revolving around the Matrix and not about the 3 main characters. I don't get it. Nothing changed but our perspectives. Suddenly all we want to see are stories about background side characters and their experiences within that world. And now that I think about it, even the game Enter the Matrix was somewhat ignored and misunderstood simply because it revolved around side characters and not Neo. I'll have to make a swift critique on that game as well since it connects with the films, and I've been enjoying it lately. But for now, let's rank the side stories we get from the Animatrix from best to greatest, starting with Matriculated. This is the final story presented in the Animatrix, and I rank it as 7th place because the animation throughout the story is mostly in 3D, so you see all these polygonal objects flying around and outdated graphics. However, the backgrounds presented are like an acid trip, which is quite pleasant. Nah, I'm just kidding. It's like optical shapes and colors, which does look appealing, especially if you're toked. But the story, it's about a small group of survivors looking to capture robots to reprogram and fighting for them. I've seen this story before with the Terminator 3 comic subtitled Before the Rise, where they attempted the same thing with the T-850 model. But the way they reprogram or convince robots to side with them is very questionable. They make the robot follow them in a virtual world that they created. They tease him along the way, and honestly, I don't really believe that this is what it takes to make a deadly robot fight for humanity. Again, the visuals are something, but that's my only reason to come back to this episode of the Animatrix. World Record. When I first saw this episode, I was like, what does this have to do with the Matrix? And it was actually self-explanatory, at least by the end. The story's okay, but its animation is better. Maybe some will disagree if they're big fans of track and field, but not this guy. I do, however, like that it's about a competitive runner who's trying to break free from the Matrix. And it's possible only if he can run fast enough. I guess it's like they're all programmed to only reach a specific speed for humans when running, but this man is the only one capable of breaking through that program. And that's pretty deep. A detective story. Ironically, this is the story featuring Carrie-Anne Moss as Trinity. But I rank it second to last place because it kinda went nowhere. Sure, things happen, but well, let me summarize what happens. The protagonist is a private detective called Ash who gets hired to find a hacker named Trinity. And in his investigation, he finds out about 3 others who tried to investigate her but ended up either killing themselves or they lost their sanity. This little detail here is what made the story interesting to me because these are victims who found out that their world was not real at all, and the realization of that just completely broke them. It broke their mentality, and that I can believe. The ending was a little unfortunate, but it left me wanting to see more. This story and its gorgeous animation deserves like a season worth of episodes. I would greatly accept it with its black and white appearance. If anything, that complements the art style. Kid's Story. This one is based on the kid from Reloaded and Revolutions. His name is Michael Carl Popper, but he mostly goes by Kid. Now in this story, we see that he used to live in the Matrix, and he would have these dreams where he's free falling. That's how the story begins, and every day he feels like he does not belong there, as if reality was the dream and his dreams was reality. Like with Neo at the beginning of the Matrix, he's messaging someone, and in this case, it turns out to be Neo. There's something about that art style, like the animation, that's just genuinely stunning. For something that might appear like scribbles, it is so goddamn elegant. I feel like this art style animation would be perfect for horror stories, because you can feel the adrenaline, the rapid movement with minimal details, almost as if you weren't meant to concentrate on the faces. They look creepy, by the way, but the action's occurring. In this scene, agents are chasing the kid, and he makes his way to the rooftop of the building where he makes a final choice: to let go. This is when he puts his trust on Neo, and, well, you know the rest. Some stories in this movie were actually made by the Wachowskis, including this one, but what complements this story the most would be its background music, as it was composed by Don Davis, the music composer for the Matrix trilogy. Beyond. The beauty within this episode lies within a glitch. And it's glorious animation, but a glitch nonetheless. A girl who appears to be living on her own goes out searching for her cat when she stumbles upon a group of kids who tell her that her cat might be in what they call a haunted house. Her cat does turn out to be in that spot, and it's not haunted, it's a glitch in the system. You wouldn't expect so much fun from a house that's bugging. You can smash things and they'll revert back to normal. You got rain pouring in one area, wind blowing indoors, zero gravity in another area. It's a brilliant concept for a short story, right? Program. This story has two characters training in a samurai-inspired simulation. But it's not the impressive visuals that caught my attention. It's the decision between these two. The protagonist is the female called Sis, and the male character is called Duo. And he has something he wants to tell her. He hates reality, and that the Matrix feels real enough to him. The machines can give him a life in the Matrix if he rats out his teammates, which he says he already did. And he can share his new life with her by his side if she joins him. Like with Cypher in the first film, his reasons for wanting to stay in the Matrix and never return to reality were understandable. I mean, I think I would choose to live in the Matrix as well. Why the hell not? Especially if you can break the rules of physics and fight like you would in a video game. Now, for those who haven't seen this movie yet, I gotta spoil the ending to this story, just cause I got a question. At the end, when she decides to deny his request to join him, and she kills him with his own sword, then she gets unplugged by her team back in the real world, and they tell her that it was all a training exercise for her, and that she passed the test. Yeah, it's pretty fucked up, but we don't see Duo in the real world, so was he real? He had to be, right? I mean, how else could she have had feelings for him? You can't install emotions on someone like installing kung fu lessons, can you? Final flight of the Osiris. This is the second best in line for many reasons. First reason, its animation was off the hook for its time. We're talking 21 years ago. Yeah, this movie's old enough to drink. Second reason to like this story, it connects with the movies. It's thanks to this crew that Zion was warned about the machines drilling straight above them. The struggle of trying to send a message through the Matrix while the crew tries to stay alive long enough to get that message sent, it's very intense. There's another reason why I rank this episode like above the rest, but how do I explain it? I love battle damage. And clothes getting torn throughout their sparring match was the highlight of their fight. Tell me I'm wrong. Tell me I'm wrong. Aside from that kick-ass scene, the music worked marvelous throughout their deadly dance. And that includes the rest of the music since it was composed by Don Davis. Not the one that played throughout the training scene. That was Jade's theme, aka Conga Fury by Juno Reactor. The Second Renaissance Parts 1 and 2. This story is split into 2 episodes, which honestly they shouldn't have done that because they claim to tell 9 stories, but 2 of them are the same story split into 2 episodes. They're all short episodes, but anyways, this is by all means the best story in the movie. It not only tells us, but shows us what the world was like before the machine war. The way it's all presented is so unbelievably shocking. You ever seen the movie I, Robot? It was a similar case. Man creates machines, then robots so that they can work for humans. Then a robot kills its owner and everything goes to shit from that very moment. Humans get pissed, they start destroying every robot on site. It's like a robot holocaust, and the machines try to bring peace between them, but humans refuse to treat them like equals. They have that mentality of, we created you for one purpose, so do your job or we'll dispose of you. These robots have clearly evolved or upgraded in their terms and gained emotions, so of course they're gonna notice the unfairness, the disrespect, and all the negatives stacked on them while humans relax and enjoy the luxuries of their robots' accomplishments. So after humans rejected their peace offering, they go to war. And I'm telling you, the imagery from this story, I get goosebumps every time I watch this. I don't know if it's the animation, the music, the visuals, or knowing that humans were gonna lose this fight. Maybe it's a combination of everything, but I mean, it feels like you're there. Just observing the entire thing play out is bone-chilling. Seeing how humans are somewhat winning at first, then the machines bring out the big guns, and I think what really became a frightful sight was when we're shown how fast they were multiplying their forces as they fought. There is so much gruesome imagery, and the most frightening thing I noticed about these enormous floating pyramids was that if you look closely, you'll notice that the machines have strapped hundreds of humans around the outer layers of that pyramid. Whether this was an early experiment on creating energy for themselves with the use of human bodies, it looks like they captured thousands of humans and strapped them to the outside of their ships so that humans end up shooting their own kind instead. That's gotta be the most terrifying thing to witness out of everything we see in this machine war. I could only imagine what the soldiers were thinking when they realized this. Well, if they realized it, looks like you had to get really close to notice it. And I think they're fully aware that they're tied up and not like in a coma, because you can see some of them moving. Damn, that's insanity, right? What a living nightmare they've all created. If you've never seen this movie and you're a fan of The Matrix, do yourself a favor. You gotta watch this movie. If not for any of the episodes ranked, watch at least this story. The Second Renaissance Parts 1 and 2 is a masterpiece. If an entire movie was based on this, you better believe that movie would have been deemed far greater than the trilogy itself. The physical version I have for the Animatrix is the original DVD case that they once came in. Nothing special unless you're a fan of these cases. I'm surprised that modern games don't release with these old school DVD cases. I mean, they no longer come with manuals. Might as well commit to the downgrade. Overall, this movie deserves to be binged if you're going to watch the Matrix trilogy. I guess I can't call it a trilogy anymore since we have a fourth movie, and that is, of course, the movie we've been talking about this whole time. The Animatrix is definitely the fourth true Matrix movie, and that's a fact. 'Cause Stone Cold said so. I'm sure he said that somewhere down the line. That's it for the video. By the way, this is the first time I've ever had to butcher the hell out of a video. This video to me, oh my god, I don't know how many times I had to re-edit. I had to rework on it. I uploaded it on YouTube and it's like, oh, we copyright crap detected, and then back and forth. And the dumbest part was how it's like it gives you that option of, do you want to trim out that portion? Because it would say that it detected 7 seconds of the movie footage, and it's like, okay, fine, trim that part out. But then when you're about to trim, it's like, okay, actually we want to trim the entire video. It's like, what the really? Why does it do that? I want to know if anyone else has come across that issue as well, where it says, oh, you got to trim out only 7 seconds, but when you actually click on that option, it suddenly tells you, no, we want to trim out 98% of the video all of a sudden. Like, what the? That makes no sense. But yeah, if you want to see the fully uncut original version that I had released for this video, it's on my Patreon, so check that out there. And for channel members, you'll also be able to have a link to that video. Anyways, I'll see you on the next video, and remember to have an awesome day.